I guess we should start off with introductions. Most of us know each other, but Taka, I've first time being in a meeting with you. So hi, my name is Solana. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in Hawaii, but my mom's Japanese, and so I go back to Japan twice a year, so I can speak Japanese too. Does anyone else want to go next? Just popcorn it around. Misa, do you want to go?
Okay. Hi, I'm Misa. I live in Hawaii, and I'm Japanese. And we used to go back to Japan, or we tried to go back every summer, but because of COVID, haven't been able to go back as regularly as we like to. But yeah.
Should I go? Should I?
Sure.
Okay, so I am Taka. My full name is Takahiro. I used to live in Mexico, but my parents are Japanese, both of them. And I go by he, him. I go to Kumon, and I guess that's about it.
Hi, my name's Jonah. I've got a British mom, a Japanese dad. I've lived in Texas for 5 years, and I go by he, him pronouns.
And then Taisei, are you still with us?
Hello. My name is Taisei Nagasawa. I live in Japan, and I was washing my car, but I found it really rude playing guys, so I'm going back inside. Yeah, thank you.
So do we want to start off by maybe sharing why we wanted to join this meeting? So if you want to, we can just go in the same order, I guess.
Okay. I wanted to join this meeting because I feel like there's a lot of diversity here living in Hawaii, but I don't really know what the situation is like in other places. So I thought it'd be nice to hear what other people's experiences were here and in other places.
Okay, so mine isn't that, serious. I just wanted to meet other people, and I just wanted to talk. So.
I think in Japan, kind of, no one really talks about LGBT stuff. So, I wanted to have some people that I could talk to with about this topic. Yeah.
Same with Jonah.
Great. Yeah, I think it's like, for me too, I just wanted to know what it's like in other countries. And so just like, I'm looking at the sample questions, and like some of them are more like personal questions about like your experiences, and then others are more about, like what we'd want to see in like society as a whole. So, I mean, we could like go back and forth, or if we want to like, like start off with one or the other.
I guess we
Any
can go back and
thoughts
forth.
on that? Okay. So Taka, these are probably the same questions as the ones from the Japanese meeting, but there's probably going to be like different answers since different people. But maybe I'll start off with the question of what do you think is the first priority in creating a more inclusive society?
What's the question again?
What do you think is the first priority in creating a more inclusive society? So I guess like, if you could like make one change right away, like what would it be? It's like this is like a really hard question to start off with. It's just like the first one that I saw. Okay, maybe let's just start off with maybe like the differences between Hawaii and Japan. Maybe, yeah, that'd probably be a little easier.
So, like, I guess the, なんだ how do you say 雰囲気?
Like
Atmosphere?
atmosphere? Mm.
Sorry, what?
Atmosphere?
Oh yeah, so the atmosphere, like, なんだ the atmosphere of like being able to talk about stuff like this, I think it's like different. I feel like, I don't know, I haven't been to Hawaii, but like I feel like in Hawaii it would be a lot more easier to just talk about it. And on the other hand, in Japan, well, Kumon is different, but in normal schools, I think it would be a lot more harder to do it.
Yeah, same. I feel this might sound really stereotyping, but I feel like in Japan, kind of there's a lot of harsh opinions from the older generation, so it's a lot harder, even if there are people in our generation that want to talk about it. And so I feel like it's a lot easier here than in Japan to like talk about it, show it. Yeah.
People are like more open, yeah, in Hawaii or like what
Yeah.
countries besides Japan. So it's kind of hard to what say that you are what part of LGBTQ and stuff. So those what soulmates. Yeah.
I feel like just like Japanese society as a whole, it's like just difficult to be different to begin with, like in any way. And so probably like in America, it's everyone's just more used to being different, and like difference is valued in at least most parts of the United States, or like in some regions it's like not that way at all. But I think that that's a really big difference.
I feel like, oh, sorry.
No, sorry.
I feel like not only in our communities, but I feel like in the things that we look up to, like celebrities or like TVs, there's a lot more representation in the US, and it makes it easier to start conversations.
Like
Yeah.
in the Japanese session, like I don't know, some hours ago, well, I actually said that in in Japanese society, not many celebrities that I know of have come out, if I'm correct. And on the other hand, in like Hollywood or other places, it's a lot more common. And also like this is also something I said, which was the word okama in Japanese. Like I feel like it's like a deroga der
Derogative.
yeah,
Yeah.
term for the LGBTQ community. Like
Yeah.
and I don't yeah, I think that word really has an impact on how Japanese people see the community.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably more stigma still surrounding like LGBTQ topics in Japan, whereas and it's like it's more controversial, I guess. And yeah, definitely like I can name way more like people who are part, like celebrities who are part of the LGBTQ community in the United States or like in other countries than in Japan.
I feel like Japanese people are so polite compared to where if like celebrities were to come out and they were to get like hate comments, there would be a wall of people standing up for them, whereas I feel like in Japan it might be harder to do because they're so like polite and they don't like stand up for themselves sometimes.
Yeah. And I think like going on the topic of like celebrities and like representation. I mean, I don't know because like I'm not, like I just don't know, but I feel like it's kind of problematic with like, like Matsuko Deluxe or something. Like I feel like part of the reason why she's famous is just because she's transgender. And like I think that's, or like other like transgender celebrities in Japan, it's like part of their like personality is that they're transgender. And I don't personally don't really agree with that. I like still think she's really funny. I watch her shows. And so I think she as a person, there's no problem with that, but just how like the media surround, like how the media makes her like build her character off of that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think so. Like how it is the being transgender thing for her at least is like I don't know, one of the main things that people see her as or like remember her for.
Yeah, I think we had the topic about race before too in Minglocal, and we were just saying how rather than like seeing someone as their label, like like being like multiracial as their label, or like being transgender, or being gay or whatever, it's like, why can't you just see them as people and like value them as what they offer as people, rather than what they label themselves as. And kind of going
Yeah, I
on.
completely agree. I feel like, oh, sorry.
Go.
I feel like I don't really know Matsuko Deluxe well, but I feel like a lot of times people think it's funny because, or they kind of laugh because she's transgender, and not as where they would laugh at a comedian's jokes. And I feel like that's an issue because people are seeing her as a transgender more than a comedian.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely like it's her choice. So if she's okay with that, I mean, I guess there's nothing to really fuss about. But just for future comedians or future celebrities who might want to be seen as more than that, like, would it be difficult for them? And kind
like
of going
in
on
Japan, sorry.
No, you go.
So in Japan, like if like celebrities and stuff like tell the public, tell the people that they're gay or whatever, transgender or whatever like that, they know that they're gonna grab their attention, right? So I think they think they use LGBTQ to become famous, like intentionally. So it's not, they're probably not that
What do you think?
Yay! 日本語でもわかんないな。
I feel like you're trying to say like they're not respecting the LGBT like community, and instead they're using it for their like profit.
For the fame.
That's
like
what
a
I'm talking
sales
about.
point.
Go. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you, Misa.
Yeah, I think like, but I don't know. Like, I feel like it's difficult because if I feel like it's as someone who's not a part of the LGBTQ community, I feel like it's not my right or responsibility to say if that's right or wrong, because I just don't know. Like, if everyone's okay with that, again, it's like, then why should I be, concerned about it? Like, I guess an American equivalent of that would be like Queer Eye. Have you guys seen that show? It's like on Netflix, and it's just like, it's these 5 gay guys who like do like a transformation for like someone, and they like all like do like, oh, like, I'm gonna like redo your apartment and like do your hair and redo like your style and whatever. But I feel like that's another one where it's like kind of say, I don't know. But if they're like owning it and they're embracing it and everyone's okay with it, again, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if I should have an opinion on that or not.
I feel like it's kind of, people like don't like it as much when they use it for profit, because when people that are genuinely like coming out and not trying to use it for profit, it's overlooked, and people start saying like, oh, this person's doing it for profit like this other person, and it kind of like it kind of takes away from the importance and like the genuineness that they themselves feel.
Yeah, definitely true. And I mean, that does bring into question, like, do we even know if the people who we think are using it for profit are actually using it for profit? Like,
Yeah.
Going back to like the topic of labels and whatnot, I'm curious to hear how, like, in English, it's become very popular to say like, oh, I use she, her pronouns, or like they, them pronouns. Is that something that's happening in Japan? I mean, like, would it even be required in Japanese?
Not at all. I've actually never said my pronouns before.
Yeah.
First time in my life, actually.
Like, I know some of my friends, like from abroad, like do have it on their bio in Instagram, but like when I see like my friends' account, like in Japan, none of them have it unless they're like, half.
Wait, it's kind of like a question, but if they have like pronouns like they or them, do you call them they
Yeah.
instead of he,
Yeah.
him? Oh,
That's
kinda
what. Yeah,
hard
that's what they.
to
Yeah, it is.
adapt,
It is
yeah.
challenging. Yeah, exactly. But that's what they prefer. So, yeah, it's like there's like some kids at my school who've changed their pronouns, and it's like I always have to like make sure I'm using the correct ones. Like I always like catch myself and like, oh wait, it's hard.
Wait, so I don't know. I've never experienced that, so it's kind of like what.
So if like I was talking about Jonah
Mm.
Senpai, like he's gonna get ice cream, I have to say they're gonna get ice cream.
Yeah.
But like other people listening to that, they like interpret that as they, right? Isn't that like kind of hard?
Yeah, so that's what's difficult, because for me at least, it's like when someone says they, I'm like, are you referring to multiple people? Or
Yeah.
so I feel like rather than using like, I feel like there should be like a new pronoun that replaces they, them, specifically for people who don't identify with either he or she, so that we all know that it's still a singular person, but that they also don't identify.
It not even be in Japanese.
Like a chan kunzuke toka, chanzuke toka. Would that be the equivalent?
Interesting.
I don't know though, cause like, for example, in Doraemon, like Shizuka is called Shizuka-kun, but
Hmm.
like, the teachers would mostly call them Shizuka. Oh, Shizuka. I don't know actually.
I
But
feel like
like,
you use names more in Japan than
Yeah.
mm,
Definitely.
mm. でも like saying like 彼がアイスクリームを取りに行くとか what would you say then? I mean,
I don't know. I
you
just
could
call them
always
like あいつあいつが何かしてくるみたいな。So there's really not like a gender, to be honest. I don't
that's
really
so
use.
true. Yeah, I guess in Japanese you don't really have that issue because it's a lot of words like あいつ like gender neutral, which is convenient. But then, Takasa, when did you live in Mexico?
So I was born there
Hmm.
and lived till the age of 12.
Okay. Because, I wonder what it would be like in Spanish because everything is like,
So in Spanish, like it's the same as in English. So he would be él, which is EL,
yeah.
and her would be ella, which is ELLA. So
But like, what would like you do for like adjectives if you have to feel like O or A, but they don't identify?
actually, I haven't really
Yes,
thought of it because when I lived in Mexico, because of my school, my school was Catholic. I didn't really talk. Me and my friends really didn't talk about LGBTQ, and I guess they do use it right now because they all just graduated into different high schools and stuff. But I think it would be a lot more difficult, maybe, especially because in Spanish, like even things have like I don't want to say that things have pronouns, but like a chair has to be with like a female thing. So it would be la silla, and la is like the chair. And you cannot say el silla. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
like
I'd be
in French
curious.
too, right?
Sorry.
Like with French too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like the Romance languages, I think, all it's like feminine, masculine.
Same age.
And then like, yeah. But then I was talking to my German friend the other day, and she was like, "Oh, well, there's the third gender already built into the language in German." And I was like, "Oh, that's really interesting." And it's just interesting to think about, like in like Romance languages, like why do certain things have genders to begin with?
I know, like here, a lot of people, especially our age, know about all these pronouns and LGBT. Is it like the same in Japan, or is it kind of like not a lot of people know?
like you mean like pansexual, like queer and stuff like that?
Yeah, like anything like within the, I guess, in general of the LGBT community.
I guess most people know gay, like that's the basic thing. And if some people who know a little bit more would probably know still like stuff like bisexual or like straight, I guess. But I don't think most people know what like the pansexual thing is or what exactly is the difference between a pansexual and a bisexual. Even though I actually don't know either that much. I don't really have like know what's the difference that much. But yeah.
What is the difference between transsexual and bisexual?
I think I think pansexual is more if you're attracted to the person themselves, and then bisexual is just like attracted to more than one gender. But I don't
Wait.
quote me on it. I'm not too
Yeah.
sure.
I think.
Yeah.
I feel like it's either pansexual or another one where it's like you're also attracted to like people who don't identify either in either gender, whereas like bisexual is like either or both females and males. But
I see.
yeah, don't quote me on that either. That might be something different. But you know, like in Japan, if no one really talks about it, like how do you learn about that? Or like, you know.
Just like TikTok and SNS, I guess. Like
Yeah.
it'll be like, oh yeah, Bretman Rock is so fucking funny and hot and stuff like that, and then we'll just change the topic to, well, at least with my friends, I don't know, well, like, do you remember when James Charles was canceled and stuff like that?
I didn't keep track of that. Um, mm, but I guess it's like mostly like foreign media then. Do you think that there's a need for more conversation surrounding LGBTQ topics in Japan?
Definitely. It needs to be in the education system first. And also, I actually went to donate blood the other day, and one of the questions they asked was, have you had intercourse with a male? And if you had, then you're not allowed to give blood because you're dangerous. You have, STDs and shit, but like protected or like, men can use protection too, like, but doesn't matter, if the fact that you are gay makes you a dangerous person, so you're not allowed to give blood. And I think that's kind of bad. I felt that was kind of discriminatory. And yeah, I think in Japan, like these old ways of thinking are like in the system, and we've got to start changing that first, including the education system.
Like we're teach that way, yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of weird. In classes.
I think a lot of people think if you're LGBT or, I don't know, weird or a bit different from the regular people, and I don't think that way, but I think a lot of Japanese people have that image, and I think it starts from a real young age. Yeah.
But like, it's like I feel like with a lot of Japanese people, they're kind of uncomfortable, even young people, they're kind of uncomfortable even talking about it.
Yeah.
So, how do we prevent, or like what is there if we don't talk about it to prevent them from becoming like the adults now?
Yeah.
Like I guess my question is like, how do we normalize it in everyday conversations?
I feel like there's so much misunderstanding, and like the basic knowledge people know kind of stops them from going further because it's kind of scary to go further, especially if it's not as open as it would be here. And so I feel like we have to just as a whole just dive into it instead of being scared and staying away from it.
Yeah. Like going back to like the Instagram bio pronoun thing, like the reason why I think, or the reason why like everyone started putting that in the US is just to normalize having pronouns to begin with and identifying your pronouns, even if you aren't, or even if you like identify with the biological gender that you were assigned with, you know, just so it's not like, it's not seen as weird when someone who wants to identify with something else, like when they put bio, or when they put their pronouns in their bio, like so it's not seen as like different. So I mean like that's like a small way I feel like that maybe, you know, more Japanese people could do. But then again, if like pronouns aren't even a thing in Japanese language, like why would you do that?
I get it that the education is necessary and all, but like to be honest, I really feel like the everyday life, like something that you actually get to um something that you actually get to like experience and touch and just be with. That yeah, just like everyday life thing is a lot. I feel like that's more important. So like for example, for me, I wear women's clothing a lot, and I feel like at least in my grade, I am the 26th generation in our school, so generation D. And like at
Yeah.
least in my grade, uh, I think most people are already used to men wearing like well guys wearing stuff like this because I do it so much, and I don't know. I just feel like there should be something that you see every day, and then slowly, じゃなくてもいいけど, like you get used to it.
yeah.
I definitely think representation does a big part on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like going like education, I think that's might be like the most like like widely impactful or like quickest maybe solution. But you know, even in like American schools, like it's not like we really have classes about, you know, LGBTQ topics or whatever. And yet we've still, I think, come to a point where it's more normalized than in Japan. But it is true that like I think even my school, like they are like trying to like become more inclusive. For example, like they are like starting like for English classes, like they want to start choosing authors who identify as being in the LGBTQ community, or like stories about that. So I think that's very cool. But again, like progress is slow when you start with like institutions, whereas when you start with like, you know, everyday things. One thing I do want to bring up is like cancel culture, and I feel like that's kind of true with like any activism, or like when you bring up any issue, is that if you aren't like personally affected, or like if you're not, I feel like a lot of people are like scared that like, you know, people are gonna like cancel them if they say something wrong, or if, you know, if they have too strong of an opinion.
Yeah,
What do you guys think?
this is gonna sound stereotypical again, but I feel like a lot of kids in Japan move as groups at like school and stuff. So if you get canceled and if you get like kicked out, or if you like, it's hard to get back into school life once you like do the wrong thing or say the wrong thing. So a lot of people are scared to be different, and a lot of people don't know what to do other than to follow others. And so I feel like that makes it hard to normalize being different within even just schools.
Yeah, like, to be completely honest, I mean, I don't even like with cancel culture, like I don't really even feel, I'm not like that I don't feel comfortable, but like sometimes I do wonder, like, should I really be like even in this meeting if I don't, should I really even have an opinion on this if I'm not even of that community? Like,
I feel like as long as you're being respectful and willing to learn and like to improve, you should be allowed to say what you think, because sometimes when you're so far away from it, we don't know what each other is thinking, so we don't know where to start.
true. And I feel like that kind of relates to a lot of subjects surrounding like minority groups. It's like, if you want to talk about like like more inclusivity for like multiracial people, it's like, well, if I'm not multiracial, should I, talk about? But I think, like you say, Misa, it's like about, you have to be able to, like, you shouldn't think that you're always right. You should be willing to listen to the actual like people. And it's like you guys are like, uplifting their voices instead of your own.
Yeah, and like I remember talking about this in the race group, but I feel like we need to have those people that aren't in the community within the conversation to start moving to a better solution. Because if it's just the people that's within the community, we're already doing the work to make it easier for us. So we need outside people to come in and see and hear us and help us, like, to just make it better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities with race, which kind of leads into the next question is, even as topics like race become more normalized in everyday conversations, how come topics surrounding the LGBTQ community, like sexuality, like don't?
I feel like it's a lot easier to talk about race and stuff because there's no way getting away from things from around the world. It's a lot easier to get away and stay away from things of the LGBT community if you're not a part of it and if you're not interested in it. Like compared to race stuff, where you would, if especially like this generation, we all like stuff from different countries and we all use stuff and know stuff from different places, so we have to learn to, I guess, accept it because we like using stuff from other places.
Good point. Any other thoughts? Okay, you seem to be deep in thought.
Like, I was thinking if there was anything else, but like she really said all of them. So
Yeah, I think it's just easy to ignore maybe.
I think also we're kind of used to seeing people of other race, like especially in Japan. Lately, lots of foreigners are coming to Japan. I mean, I live in Japan, my mom lives in Japan, and we get to see people from other races, but you can't really tell if someone's from the LGBTQ community by just seeing them. You've got to actually talk to them and have a conversation, and I don't think many people are used to that, and that's why that's why.
Really good point. I think another thing is like kind of relating to that. like people can argue like, oh well, like, you know, sexuality and whatever, like isn't that like just something you can decide, whereas like race is something that you can't decide. And so, you know, people might be like, oh well, like why are you making life difficult for yourself by deciding that or whatever. So maybe that's why it's more easily brushed off.
Yeah, I feel like race is more of a physical thing where like you clearly can't change your face to become one race, whereas sexuality and stuff, it's in our brains, so other people can't see it, and so they think that it's a choice where we can change stuff, and so they aren't as willing to listen to what's actually going on.
Yeah. So this is like just kind of a hypothetical question. But it's like, do we need to then have like people see like to create change? Do like people need to obviously present themselves as being a part of the LGBT community? Like, would, you know, I don't know, but like, would that make it more normalized?
I feel like here it's a lot easier to change, to look different and to dress differently to, if you want to obviously show, but in Japan it's a lot harder to show that you're different, and it's a lot more scarier to show that you're different. So even if you do want to dress different, and even if you do dress different to make it or to normalize it, a lot of people kind of side-eye it instead of trying to willingly learn about it.
Yeah, what about in Japan? Like,
Yeah, I think it's a bit difficult here if you want to be
mhm.
to look different from other people. It's kind of hard. Like Misa said, people would probably just side eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Taka, you dress different
I
from.
guess like this is something I really feel like is that Japanese people lack confidence,
Mhm.
and you know, like even when talking, normally Japanese people don't look at your eyes, and it's just like not that if they had a little bit more confidence, like it would have been so much easier to come out and stuff like that, and also like with that, you know, um, with more people coming out, it would be a lot more easier for the other people who haven't come out. Like, yeah, That's like chain reaction みたいなのが
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was kind of eavesdropping into the Japanese meeting today, like part of it, and I think Sakura was saying how, you know, like in Norway, a lot of girls don't have short hair, whereas like in Japan, a lot of girls do have short hair. And that's like, I think we also like assign specific traits as like either masculine or feminine, you know, like appearances. And then like if you don't conform to that, then like you are seen as like different, or like you're then like assigned to that stereotype, I guess. Like, yeah.
I
I
feel
don't, I
like
don't know where I'm going with this.
I feel like I'm gonna go back to representation, but if in Hawaii, there's so many cultures where guys have long hair and girls have really short hair or maybe even shaved heads. And so it makes it easier to look different. And then to add on to that, it's because everybody already looks so different, it's a lot easier to dress differently to show ourselves. And so I feel like if there is a lot more representation, it'd be easier for people in Japan to be able to do that.
But then on the flip side of that, I feel like if like a lot of women with like shaved heads, like, you know, they're like, since or you know, many of them are like lesbian, if like you just want to do that just because, you know, you're like, you don't like long hair but you're not lesbian, like it's hard to, a lot of people will like think you are just because of how you look. And so I think there's both the danger in identify or in linking your identity to how you look, but also, you know, by creating representation, you are also opening a lot more space for other people. So I think that's kind of a difficult thing, I guess. Tuck, I don't know if this is, you know, like a really personal question, but do you like, how do you feel, you know, you're not dressing, but, or, you know, dressing the way you do, like how is that experience in Japan?
So
If you're willing to share. I mean, if not, that's totally fine too.
wait, so like if I wear oops, huh? Sorry, I didn't get
Yeah,
the
yeah.
question.
Like, you know, wearing female clothing, like how is that experience for you in Japan? Like,
You know, cause I live at the dorm, I rarely go outside, and I'm just like in this school's なんだ、敷地内. So
mm,
I don't really get that much like weird eyes. If I do, they're like from the kohai, so like the juniors, or sometimes even from the seniors. But like that's like I don't know, it just doesn't bother me at all. Like I'm like, oh, nan- like the way I think of is like, oh, he gets disturbed by this little thing from someone who doesn't even have a connection with him. Like what a kid, みたいな. And yeah, I don't know. It just makes me feel confident that I can be masculine, but without being like the stereotypical, like what the normal people would call normal. Like I just feel like whenever I'm not that uh mm,
yeah,
I don't know how to
I think
say
that's
it, but yeah.
I think that's really admirable though, and you know, your confidence is really admirable. So like, how do you think we can like get that confidence to other people in Japan? You know,
Yeah.
this is a
Just
question
like
for everyone, but
just think of it as like mind your own business type of thing. Like you only live once, and even in Japan where you probably could live until 100 years old, like really there's a limited time. You should do whatever you want. Like I know people do mistakes and stuff, but not that. Just you grow up with those as well. And other things like, oh, what about like the parents or like the elderly people looking at me? They're not gonna be able to do anything, to be honest. Like even if there was like a fight, like you're probably gonna be stronger than them. You're probably gonna be able to run from them and just never see them again or something like that. I just feel like, yeah, just mind your own business type of thing is what people should think of that. Or even if you're alone, like you're never alone. That's what I think of. There's other people. There's so many people. There's like 7 billion people in this world, you could definitely meet someone who could understand you that could speak Japanese and stuff like that. That's how I
I feel like adding on to that, you just need to stand your ground and be stubborn about it and not let others sway you on it. Because there's really nothing the others can do. They can't just like make you change clothes and, you know, make you choose other people. And so as long as you can just stand your ground, you should be able to get through it.
Like in Japan, if one does it, everyone does it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like they're like, so if like one brave, not brave, maybe brave, one brave guy like you, Oshima, like you, like those ones with hearts, like does stuff, then like other people would like be affected by that, and then like everyone would start doing it, and that's like probably like the start of spreading what more understanding to the LGBTQ community, and that's like the only way, not the only way, but probably a way to keep up with countries like America and other countries like that. That's like that's how Japan has to start off. I don't know where I'm going, but
in 26期, like a lot of guys wear makeup, right?
Not really. I don't see them wearing that much, but like I do, and some other people I've given some to some of my friends who are guys. I've done makeup to some, not as like a joke, but as like an actual way to look good. And makeup, there's so many different ways as well. Like not everything has to be feminine. Like even if it's just a little bit of like whatever, like an eyeliner, like that doesn't really make you look so much feminine. Like that's what I think of. I don't know. Yeah, but I think there isn't that much like of hesitation to do makeup in Nijiroki. Maybe like yeah.
Sorry, what is Nijiroki?
Oh, so that's my grade in this school.
Oh, okay.
in our grade is 25.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Sorry, I just have to clarify.
Because we don't do that in Nijigoki, because like we're embarrassed, like we're gonna we're,
Not definitely not.
so
Yeah.
we need someone who's gonna start off, and everyone's gonna start doing it probably. It's like with piercing, no one pierces their ear in Nijigoki, yeah. So if someone starts a guy like このトピックでguyっていうのは I don't know, but in like biologically male が pierce してない no one. So if someone starts doing it, then probably everyone will. But in Nijiroki, like you guys started like piercing from like 中2, yeah?
Yeah, because like there's someone who actually pierced his tongue. So
そうだからやばいね。
You
It's
should
like-
start wearing makeup.
everyone does what they want to, and like there isn't really a atmosphere where it's like, no, you shouldn't do that. Like no one would actually say that. It's more like, yes, go dude type of thing. That's I guess what's
So that's what I'm
Really?
like really impressed about your grade, and like that's like the quality that we don't have. Quality. So 英語わからなくなっちゃったけど。そうね。
We need that.
Me too.
You two should just start it.
Yeah.
No, but
I mean I can
We
teach
don't-
you.
Really? Really?
Yeah, with some makeup. Like it doesn't have to be like red ones. It could just be brown eyeshadows and stuff. Like that's easy.
Yeah. I'm totally up for that. I would try
It's-
makeup for sure.
It's interesting that like even just like between grades, like the mindset about that's totally different, because that's kind of true at my school too. Like the grade below us definitely has, I think, more diversity in terms of like sexuality, or like at least people who are out. And there's like definitely, you know, more people who wear different types of clothes and whatnot in the grade below. So yeah, I don't know why that is. Like it's like this 1 year difference. I don't know.
Maybe like the amount of people from other like cultures, like background cultures, I guess that something I don't.
But even like recently, like I've definitely noticed more people, you know, like more biologically male people dressing more feminine. Like even if they're not like wearing like dresses or whatever, like growing their hair out, or
Yeah.
you know, wearing more pink or whatever, but you know, stereotypically feminine things. But this is again like one thing that I'm concerned about is like just, you know, at what point does it just become a trend and like you don't actually have any intent behind it? It's like how do we, you know, and like it's not long lasting.
No.
It's just kind of like, you know, it's trendy right now, so I'm gonna wear, you know, pink now, or but you're not actually like supporting the LGBTQ community. You're just like taking like stuff from them. If that makes sense.
Like I think a trend thing is really true because uh I don't know if most people actually do take influence from it, but in K-pop at least, many male idols, you know, have long hair, have wore makeup, wear crop tops, and at least in the K-pop community, it is really popular, and most K-pop fans actually support it, and you know, it it really like is kind of becoming a trend, but ma, like if どう言えばいいな。まあ、トレンドにはしない方がいいよねっていうのはわかる。
Mm. I mean, to be honest, it's just like maybe the solution is just to get rid of, you know, I mean, this is like a naive solution, but just get rid of like stereotypes, you know, based on appearances to begin with. Like, you know, saying, oh, this is feminine clothing, or this is a masculine one, you know, haircut or whatever. Letting people do whatever they want. Do we want to move on to another question, or does anyone have any questions they want to ask? Oh, here's kind of something that we haven't talked about yet. What do you think about not separating bathrooms, or like having genderless bathrooms?
What do you think about it?
What do you think about it? You know, any opinions, thoughts?
Dhamma Senpai was doing stuff
no.
yesterday. Yeah.
No?
Yeah. We have a senpai.
Oh.
1 grade older than us, 1 year older than us. She went to America for a year and studied about genderless bathrooms, toilets, and she's now come back to Japan and she's trying to make genderless toilets, and she's made toilet paper with stuff about SDGs printed on it. Like at school now, we actually have toilets with that paper and stuff. It's really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, she has her own company too.
Oh God, I want to
Really
get.
cool insight. Yeah, we should have gotten schooling into this.
So cool.
It's not, genderless toilets aren't really a thing in Japan. No one actually really knows about them that much at the moment. But some, I know, people are trying to spread the word, I guess, about it. And I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. Sorry.
Like,
Mhm.
I think that genderless toilets are really a good idea for, the transgender people out there. But I feel like some people who are actually really confident with their gender would feel a little disappointed because they cannot, I don't know if they actually feel that way, but it's just like a thought that, not being able to show it like
That's-
would be like a little bit of a lost the chance,
Mm.
lost chance for them.
That's a perspective I've never thought of, but like makes a lot of sense. If you're confident in what you present yourself as, like I guess it would be disappointing to have to like separate yourself. It just like when you go to the bathroom. But like in Japan, you have like all those like family toilets, like the ones that are like separate. And so like you could just convert that to like genderless or slash family, use. But in like America, like we don't, you usually don't even have like those family toilets. So like it's, I think, and there's kind of like been a movement to like make genderless bathrooms at school too. But like because at my school I've heard like some transgender people, they've been told by the school like, oh, use the teacher's bathroom because it makes other students uncomfortable. And like, that's really upsetting to
Yeah,
hear.
that's the thing. I feel like yes, the easiest, solution for it is to just make genderless bathrooms. But if we really want to make it, if we really don't want to make it a problem, if we could change everyone's mindset about being, uncomfortable with someone, uh, who looks like the opposite gender coming to
Mm.
their, bathroom, like, yeah, it's like if everyone kind of changed their perspective in that, it wouldn't become a problem. Like that's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really true. I think, rethinking this is like the solution isn't to accommodate everyone's stigma by making more bathrooms,
Yeah.
but to try to fix people's mindsets. Like it's like you have to like get to the problem, at the faucet rather than like trying to like mop up flooding water with towels. Kind of a messy metaphor. But yeah, it's really true. It's eye-opening.
I feel like for me, it's a bit controversial because I know that, or I can already see that if we were to make genderless bathrooms, there would be people that would take advantage of it, and there would be people that would like assault people in the bathrooms, which is what would make it controversial for me. So I don't really have an opinion because I keep going back and forth to, oh, it'll be a safe space for the LGBT community, but then again, there would be people that would take advantage of it and actually make it a very dangerous place.
Yeah, considering the trains, women's only cars in the morning, like I feel like that would actually become a problem if, at least in Japan, if it ever, came true.
I'm sorry. When we say genderless bathrooms, does that mean like it's everyone uses the same bathroom, or are we saying we're gonna add another bathroom for people who don't care?
I was thinking adding one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I think
thought it was
add-
like everyone can use.
Right now, not having genderless bathrooms, I mean, couldn't that mean women's bathrooms could be a dangerous place? Like, if someone had bad intentions and, you know, said they were transgender, right now they could walk into a women's bathroom, you know.
Yeah. But then forcing people who don't have bad intentions to go to like a gender neutral bathroom would also be like difficult too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, I mean, if you think about it, like public bathrooms are all kind of dangerous in a way, no matter what you do. But yeah, I think, or like locker rooms, like you kind of extends to that too. You know, I know, like some kids have to like change in the bathroom because they're like, oh, you can't go to the locker room. And kind of going along with locker rooms in America, it's like controversial. Like you can't, oh, you're not biologically female, so you can't play on the female sports teams, even though you identify as like female or, you know, vice versa. Is that even, is that as an issue like even arisen in Japan?
It did in the Olympics. No, wasn't it the first time in Olympic history that transgender woman played for something? I'm not sure. But that, yeah, there was actually quite a lot of talk about that in the media.
What was like the public opinion?
I don't know. I saw a lot about it on the media, like TV and stuff, but I haven't really heard actual people really talking about it. Like,
Like, how did the media cover it? Was it like something that's like,
well, the media
problem, or
covered it like it was like people, 산비료론, like that some people say it's good, some people say it's bad,
oh, okay,
and yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
How's that in Hawaii?
I personally don't know of any like transgender people trying to get on like a sports team like at school. But I've heard in the news, like in other like states, where like people weren't allowed to, you know, play on the sports team because they were a different gender, and like also like people saying like, oh, well then just make like a transgender league or whatever, like just like make a transgender team. But then I feel like that's the same as saying, okay, let's make genderless bathrooms. It's like you're trying to accommodate, like you're saying, you know, it's like saying like, oh, we're giving you equality by making a team for you or making a bathroom for you, but really you're making them feel more different rather than including them.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on here, but I do know I was following like the US soccer teams during the Olympics because they're funny to watch. And I know some professional players that came out as transgender while they were on I think, a women's team. And I'm pretty sure they stayed on the team, but I know that there was a lot of talk going on around about it.
Yeah. And like this kind of like jumping all over the place with, but it's related, with like military too. I know, like, yeah, it's like if you're that's also like the same issue. Like, do you get assigned to the female ranks or the male ranks if you're transgender? Like, there's a lot of issue around that too. Wait, can women even serve in the military in Japan? I didn't even know that. They
Yeah,
can?
they can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I feel like so much of like these issues would be solved if people just like accepted and minded their own business, because it's like their choice on what they want to do and like where they want to go. And so as long as you just accept them with open hearts and listening ears, most of these should be able to be solved.
Exactly. It's like, by other people choosing things, like it never harms you, or like it shouldn't, like 99% of the time it doesn't affect you at all and it causes you no harm. So like why are you, making such a like big deal out of it?
Yeah.
So how do we get other people to realize that, and I think in the United States a lot of people are, it's become more normalized, like more complex issues like, sports teams or bathrooms, like that's like, I feel like that's like another level of issue. Whereas like I feel like in Japan you're still at the basic level of like I can't even, like a lot of people can't even express themselves. Whereas like America, like you have those issues because people are expressing themselves.
I actually have a few friends at school that I know are homosexual or bisexual, but none of them have actually properly come out.
Dude, how?
Huh?
Do I know them?
Yeah. I think what's important, like, I mean, I think people need people around them that have come out properly and are actually talking about it. I think a lot of people in Japan think it's something, so it's a problem. The LGBT community is like something that's that doesn't have any connection with them. It's completely mukanke, but it's actually kind of all around you. Yeah.
Very true. I feel like if you start to realize like, that the people around you are of that community, then you would be more interested in those issues too. Even if you aren't a part of that community, you would be more compassionate about it. That's a good point.
I know, like with this talk, it sounds like America's a lot ahead, but I've seen on like Instagram and TikTok where they're saying, it's like POVs where they're like the older generations asking why there's suddenly so much more LGBT people. But in reality, it's just that they feel safe enough to come out because there are other people and a community around them. So I feel like once Japan can have that first step of like a group of or a community that they feel safe in, it'll be a lot easier for others to come out and be normalize it more.
Yeah, exactly. My sister was like, she was like, oh, there's more people, in the LGBTQ community in the United States than there are in Japan. And I was like, no, there probably are the same amount everywhere in the world. It's just how many people are, out about it and confident about it. And so I guess like the goal is like, how do we make a community that's more comfortable for everyone to express themselves freely? And I don't know the answer. Like, like, yeah, education, but what like else personally can I do?
I guess just like the representation, maybe, to make them feel like there is someone. Well, I don't know, like there is someone who supports it, or like in the same community, or so, like knowing that there is someone in your side is reassuring for anyone, to be honest. So that's, I guess, what most people need, at least here in Japan.
I try to make feel comfortable. I try to make people like my friends that I kind of guess are in the LGBT. I try to make them feel comfortable with talking about it as much as possible. Try to make them, I don't know, feel safer talking about it. And yeah, actually some people have told me they are, and I think that's really good. But people still like joke about those kind of things, and I mean, to actual LGBT people, it's kind of harmful. It's kind of hurtful, and it makes them a bit scared to talk about it.
Yeah, I think like whenever I hear like jokes, like offensive jokes, like I usually try to say like, hey, like that doesn't make sense at all. Like that's really, harmful. So then at least like even if like if someone around you that you don't know is like in the LGBTQ community, like they know that, someone's there to stand up for them, I guess. Like a really common one is like people saying like, oh, that's really gay, like for something that like instead of saying like it's stupid, oh that's really stupid, like oh that's really gay, like that like doesn't make, you're just like that doesn't make sense at all. Like, gay and stupid don't mean the same thing.
Like scrolling through like TikTok and stuff, I see like memes about like gay people and stuff. Yeah, like I don't know. It to be honest, it is kind of funny, but we shouldn't do that, right? Like, so I don't know where the borderline is, like to these kind of joking around, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where the borderline is, and I want to know where is like the limit to these kind of jokes. So it's probably good to have like a visual, not visual, but like a clear borderline on these jokes and stuff.
I believe like if something that you joke about even has something like a borderline type of, and if it even has something like a borderline to like being nice or bad, I feel like that's a topic that you shouldn't actually joke about it, in the first place. So anything from like culture, the community, or races, like okay, some may be funny, but like there is a chance that it will hurt someone if you miss one step. And I feel like that's something that you shouldn't. That's a risk that that no one should actually take.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely agree. I feel like if there's even a slight chance of hurting someone, you shouldn't make those kind of jokes, but we're human, and because it's been so normalized over the years, it's hard to put like a clear stop to it. And so I think just as long as we're aware of it, that's like the first step to stop making those jokes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree too. But here's my I feel like I'm always saying but I think sometimes it's like those jokes are like, oh, but if I'm part of that community, like if you are part of that community, then can you find it funny? Or like if they find it funny, then is it okay? Like I think that's again like another borderline. It's like same with like like race jokes, like, oh, I can say this because I'm this race, but no one else can. It's like I can make these jokes but other people can't. And I feel like that's kind of dangerous too, because at the same time, while you're kind of embracing who you are, if you're also normalizing and allowing more chances for people who you don't want it to say those jokes to like say them too.
Yeah, I feel like I have the same issue. I'm like a lot of the people around me are Asian, and so I often hear Asian jokes, and I myself actually usually find it funny, but then there's a voice in the back of my mind where it's like, but what if this other Asian person doesn't find it funny? Then it starts to get bad and it starts to not get funny. And so I feel like if it's people that you completely trust and it's people that you understand each other to an extent, for now it's fine because we can't, like I said, put a complete stop to it suddenly. But I don't think it's appropriate to bring it up to like a people to people that you don't know that well.
Mm. Yeah, and I think like kind of going off of that, like Asian jokes and whatever, it's like once you start making those jokes, someone from another race might be like, hey, they find it funny, so I can say it too, and it would be funny. It's like, and so yeah, you do like enter a gray zone once you start making those jokes, or even start thinking they're funny, I guess.
I feel like people that are in the community of anything can make those jokes because they understand how hard it is sometimes, and they understand like the reality of being in the community. While if people from outside the community start making those jokes because they see people making the jokes, they just they like kind of think it's not as hard, and they don't understand what actually they go through. And so it's not like they just kind of dilute the problem and think it's all easy and fun and jokes, and then it becomes not funny.
I think it's kind of dangerous for, I don't know, just because you're a member of that community, I don't think you can really represent that community by yourself. I mean, just because I don't know, but just because you're okay with it doesn't mean everyone else in the community is okay with it. I think, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of difficult, but yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah.
that makes complete sense.
I think like these jokes aren't ever gonna go away, and so oh sorry. I think that it's easier to educate people on the issues and the struggles within the community, and then they can make the jokes, because I feel like there's no way to stop these jokes anymore. So as long as you understand both sides, both the funny, the fun, and the struggles, um, it should start to become okay. But right now, it's just a lot of people making the jokes and not knowing the struggles, which makes it a problem.
I feel like Japan really is not the bad with those things. Cause like even right now, well, I don't know if it actually is, but like there's so many celebrities who went on variety shows to do blackface, or like I've seen TikToks where there's this guy who's like im- impersonating, is that a word? Or like a Chinese guy with like a walk and stuff like that, and it's like like that, and like the first time I saw it, like even that guy is Japanese and he looks Asian, so like some people might think it's okay, but like I really didn't find it that funny. But some people in Japan, and like well many people in Japan actually did, and were like, "Oh, dude, that's like Chinese, and that's so funny," and like stuff like that. So really, I feel like you know Japan really has to step up a little bit more. Like I don't.
Yeah, I yeah, I agree. And I'd love to continue this conversation, but I just realized we're supposed to go into recap time at 9:30 or 9:30, 4:30 for Japan time. So I guess that's any final questions, thoughts that you want to share before we end? This conversation was really eye-opening for me, so thank you, everyone.